Hello again from my front porch. Well, it is now November 28th. And what an interesting November 28th it is. It is, 48 degrees here at 7:30 in the morning. Well, welcome to the world of climate change. And I say that, I know I say that with a smile, but, I think personally, again, I'm not wanting to stir up a lot of controversy about it and all, but I think that climate change is real. I think you'd be hard pressed to say climate change is not real. Now, actually, I think there are three issues that get merged into one topic. Unfortunately, I think you've got the reality of climate change. I don't see any other way around it. I mean, I remember just even myself as a child, not even as a child, as a young married adult. I remember snow on the ground by this time of the year, lots of snow, and it wasn't like it just would happen and then go. I mean, I remember it just being like it would turn white at a certain point, and it was and it was never not white until sometime in the spring. it just got deeper and deeper, and you built things, snowmen and forts. Anyway, and that hasn't happened now for many years. But also just the temperatures. I feel like the entire climate calendar has shifted just a bit. So the temperatures that we used to enjoy maybe a month ago, we now get now, or maybe it's not a full month, but still, you see what I'm saying? It's like everything, the dial is just adjusted just a bit. And so I think there is that climate change reality. I personally do not accept that man has caused that climate change. Not because I'm some denier who believes that man can these no influences blah blah blah, but because I look at the historical record, the geological record, and the changes that we're seeing today are changes this planet has seen before. I mean, for crying out loud, we all accept the Ice Age as fact. Okay, well, what caused the Ice Age, and then what ended the Ice Age? Because we didn't have cars driving around creating exhaust. We didn't have aerosol spray cans. We didn't. It's the way the Earth goes around the sun, the way the Earth rotates on its own axis. Those are two factors right there that impact these kind of seasonal things. And science tells us there are other things too. And we talk about sea levels rising, and how our coastal cities are in danger because of sea levels rising. And we try to say that's mankind's fault, when in reality, we know the sea levels have been rising for literally centuries. There are currently entire cities underwater that at one time were above water. And it's not that there was an earthquake and that city fell into the ocean. It's that the ocean rose around that city. And now it's completely submerged and forgotten underwater. That's how long ago it's submerged. But again, there were no smokestacks, there were no cars, there were no greenhouse gases, there was no deforestation, there was none of that going on. So what caused the ice caps to continue to melt as they've continued to melt since the end of the Ice Age? What's been causing those things to happen? Natural cyclical things. So again, I don't discount that climate change is happening. I think that's an absolute fact. What I am dismissive of is the role that man plays. I think we overinflate our ability to do things. Now, that brings to mind, though, the third category, and that is environmental stewardship, which we are really bad at. We need to do a better job of taking care of this planet, of our environment, of all of the natural resources that we are bestowed with. We need to try to leave the place better than we found it, basically, so that future generations are not having to pay for the mistakes we've made. And yet we just continue to just do all kinds of crap to our planet, and that's unfortunate. And so I think you've got climate change, you've got the question of whether mankind has caused it or whether it's a natural cyclical event, the changing of climates, and you have the need for environmental stewardship. Those are three issues. And I think way too often we merge that into one issue, and we try to say you're either all in or all out, and that's nonsense. That's oversimplifying something, topics that are much deeper and broader concepts. In fact, I think maybe I'll do one of these about that at some point, because so many discussions in our world today are we have these battles, these raging conflicts, which a lot of the conflict comes from the fact that we aggressively oversimplify things. We don't actually stop and look at what are all the dynamics, what are all the parameters going on here, and because if we did, we would be able to dissect a topic and find that probably 80, maybe 90% of the aspects of that topic, the majority of people can agree on. There's just small little snippets of those topics where the dispute comes in. And if we were able to narrow those things down and identify where those are, then we could have actual discussion and dialogue about where the differences are, rather than just going to battle all the time over these main issues. But unless I'm willing to go down that path on this one, I should probably stop babbling about it now. I'm actually just sitting out here on my front porch this morning waiting for my ride. I am waiting for an Uber. Looks like I am going to be doing some Ubering this week, because my car, my 2006 Pacifica, apparently has finally reached the end of its line. It has, it has been working to get here for a while, but last day or two, last day especially, yesterday morning it started making some not so wonderful sounds and doing some weird things, and then even driving home last night, it continued to do even more weird and not so good things. Weird noises, new indicator lights, new messages on my little alert screen. So sadly, I think it is to the point where it is going to either be a very pricey repair, or I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and replace the vehicle. And honestly, I think I'm at a point where replacing the vehicle is the better option, because you get to a point where, even though don't get me wrong, I love my Pacifica. That's why I still have it. If it had Bluetooth, it would be the perfect vehicle for me. That's the only thing it's missing that I wish it had. Beyond that, though, it has every feature that I could ever ask for and more in a vehicle. It's an excellent vehicle. It handled well. It allows me to haul stuff well. I mean, I could do a whole Pacifica commercial, just like I could do a commercial for these San Pellegrinos. Oh, which, by the way, I should open this one. What am I doing sitting out here with a San Pellegrino that's not even open? That's a crime. Well, anyway, so I got it parked in the garage now. There's a guy who lives about a block from me that has done most of my car repairs here as of late, and so I'm trying to arrange to get him to take a look at it. But because he does this stuff on the side from his home, it's not like I can just drop it off and say, hey, work on this today. It's kind of more by his schedule. So in the meantime, I may be doing a lot of Uber and, perhaps leaning on a few friends, to see, is anybody driving this way? Can you give me a ride? So anyhow, this weekend, my Christmas present to myself may be a new car payment. Ugh, that's not the kind of present that I want. But you do what you got to do, I guess. So anyway, if I got a new vehicle, though, that wouldn't be such a bad thing, because this poor vehicle, it has been running rougher and rougher, which means I've been very limited as to how far I'm willing to drive the poor thing, and so getting a new vehicle would open up the horizons for me. Would allow me to what's from that '70s show? It'd be like the Vista Cruiser. I could literally cruise the vistas. Well, anyhow, so I gotta start thinking about what I want to do on that front. I don't want to, but it may not be my choice now. I think the choice has been removed from my hands, so to speak. So yeah, got that happening today at work. We're actually going to be having we've started having these quarterly forecasting meetings for our training and development program at Waldinger. where we sit down, all of us that are involved with the training function, we sit down and we talk about what has happened in the last 3 months, and we try to project out what we're planning to do for the next 3 and 6 months. We know what the work efforts are going to be, what the main meat and potato projects are going to be, because there's always other crap that comes up in between, other stuff that just pops up that we didn't even see coming, and here it is. But what are the main big things that we're going to be working on? And so yeah, we'll be doing that this afternoon, and that'll be interesting. I know that the two big topics that we're going to be discussing, number one is the creation of an entire library of video-based lessons, where we've identified a whole series of concepts, the 100, 200, 300 level, and we're going to be working to develop video-based training that the user can just watch on their own, and get a lot of the information on a given topic. Some of those then will be partnered with classroom-based instruction that will then be a follow-up to the video-based training that happens. But still, we want to map those out, and at this point, it looks like that curriculum building will extend for at least 2 years, maybe longer. So that'll be interesting. Oh, hey, I didn't tell you last night. I should have started off with this, in fact. Last night, I got to go to the Iowa Wolves basketball game again because they asked me to come and sing the National Anthem again. I was very honored to do. I'm always honored to do so. So Brandy was there, and my good friends Jack and Tara came along, and so I'll insert some pictures here. Excuse me, of all of us. In fact, I'll even insert my singing of the National Anthem because Brandy said it was my best one yet, which I thought was kind of funny because I feel a little bit of a tickle, and even while I was singing it, there were a couple of spots where I felt like there was I had a little something, little frog in the throat there. So when, of course, you're always your own worst critic, and so as I was out there singing it, I thought there were a couple of spots where I thought, and I didn't quite get that. But she said she thought it was the best one yet because she said, what did she say? That she thought it had a lot of depth to it, and so she thought that was really good. So see here, judge for yourself. Here I am singing the National Anthem at the Iowa Wolves last night.
Would you please rise and direct your attention to the American flag that flies proudly above Section 120 as we prepare for the singing of our National Anthem. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we salute those that serve our country around the world and here at home, our men and women of law enforcement and our brave firefighters as well. Performing our National Anthem this evening is Mr. Paul Smith.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Paul Smith, everybody, with our National Anthem. Thank you so much, Paul.
I also then got to visit with Denny O'Grady, who is one of the guys who helped keep score for the Iowa Wolves. Denny, actually, I know from back when I was a snot-nosed newspaper delivery kid in Carroll, Iowa, where I worked at the Daily Times Herald in Carroll. A gentleman named Danny Tegas was the circulation manager. There was Jerry Nichols before him. He's the one who actually hired me when I was 9 years old. But then Danny took over for him. Danny and I got really close, in fact, to the point that Danny was one of the groomsmen at my wedding back in 1988 when I got married. So anyway, I got to visit with Denny O'Grady. He worked at the Carroll paper for 30 years before retiring and then coming to Des Moines. And I think he said he did that in 2001, so that'd be over 15 years ago. More than 50. Anyway, you get the idea. Quite a while. And so it was kind of fun catching up with him. And he was like, because from my vantage point, he hasn't changed a bit. He still looks exactly and acts exactly the same way he did back then, which I don't know if is a compliment to him now or an insult to him then. I don't know. But he was remarking about his man. I remember when you were just this tall and you were just this little munchkin running around doing something. Yeah, I'm not really that much taller now. But so that was kind of fun to have that little catch up as well. All right, well, I should probably sign this off because I don't want to be scrambling to turn my camera off and stuff, you know, when the Uber driver's pulling in, especially if the Uber driver tries to call. That would really mess up my recording here too. So I better sign off and watch diligently for my Uber person. I haven't used Uber a lot. I know a lot of people who use it all the time. I've hardly used it myself, and so this will be a new chapter, a new experience. All right, well, I'm going to sign off, get back to enjoying the rest of my tasty San Pellegrino, and get on with my day. So I will see you next time from my front porch.